Hi all, good morning.
Good morning, Julia.
Yep. So in our previous class, we have discussed about the theoretical concepts of triggers, and today we will be doing a few practical examples on triggers. Okay. So coming to triggers, so we can execute the complex validations, custom validations, and some complex business logics making use of the triggers. So these get automatically fired when any kind of DML events occur. So based on our requirement, we will be defining the DML events which we want to capture in our trigger. So based on that, the trigger gets fired. And also, so there is a criteria for like what we are going to perform in our trigger. Are we going to update some fields? Are we going to show some error message to the user if the user is entering some kind of inaccurate data? So it depends, right? So based on our DML events, so triggers, we have two types of triggers, that is before triggers and after triggers. So there are 7 DML events which we have discussed in detail: before insert, before update, before delete, after insert, after update, after delete, and after undelete. So these are the 7 trigger events which we have. So while writing a trigger, we will have to mandatorily give at least one event, one DML event for the trigger to fire. But you can go ahead and give more than one DML events as well. So the trigger syntax, as you can see, trigger name on the object name, and we will be mentioning the DML events list. So before insert, before update. So any we can mention more than one event else or more than one DML event also. And we have discussed this for 7 types of DML events, and also how to create triggers. So ideal way we will be doing is from our developer console. So click on new Apex trigger, and then you give the name of the trigger, and you can create the trigger. You will give the object on which the trigger is going to be acting upon, and then the trigger gets created. So trigger is going to be saved in a file with extension .apxt. And we also discussed how to deactivate a trigger. So we can create a trigger from developer console, but we cannot deactivate a trigger from developer console. We will have to deactivate a trigger from the standard navigation. So go to setup, and in the quick find box, search for Apex triggers, and there you find all the triggers available. Click on the particular trigger which you want to deactivate, and you will have to uncheck the checkbox is active. So that, and uncheck the checkbox and then save it, and that's how the trigger gets deactivated. Right. So, and then we have discussed about the trigger context variables. So the different trigger context variables we have discussed, like there are 12 of these variables, right? So based on the type of inputs or what we are performing, these two context variables are very plays a major role in writing the triggers, because we will have to get the current status of our trigger or current information or what's happening in the trigger. So those kind of information we can get with the help of the context variables. Okay, so they are trigger.isInsert, trigger.isUpdate, trigger.isDelete, trigger.isUndelete. So these variables, as the name says, they are available only within the trigger. So outside of the trigger, they are not available. Okay. Trigger dot is before, trigger dot is after, and is executing. Trigger dot is executing, trigger dot operation type, what type of operation it's performing. If you want to know, we can understand that also. These are all the constants, so which the system can understand. Trigger context. Trigger dot new, trigger dot new map, trigger dot old, and trigger dot old map. So yes, we have discussed. So the important interview questions is, what is the difference between trigger dot new and trigger dot new map? Trigger dot old and trigger dot old map? That's two questions. And the other questions is like, what is the difference between trigger dot new and trigger dot old? And what is the difference between trigger dot new map and trigger dot old map? So these are the expected interview questions usually. Right. So we are going to make use of all these context variables while we write our triggers now. So trigger bulkification, yes, as we discussed, bulkification is very important for us to keep in mind about the uh, governor limits in place. Okay. So right. So let's go ahead and write down trigger now, and we are going to understand all these trigger context variables also, and we are going to understand the syntax of trigger, how we are going to write a trigger, how we are going to uh, make use of the trigger context variables and all. Okay. Right. Configure a trigger on account object to make sure account record should contain rating, industry, and phone field values. So this is a simple trigger. So while deciding, writing the trigger, you will have to decide on like two different things. So first one being on which object you are writing the trigger. Okay. So object name. So here configure trigger on account object. So it's account, right? And the type of events. So which event you want to fire, whether it's after events or before events. And in that, if after, is it a insert, update, or delete, or if undelete, or if it is before event, if it is insert, update, or delete. So which event? Configure a trigger on account object to make sure each account should contain rating, industry, and phone field values. So which event do you think in this case? Yes. So what I'm doing in my trigger?
Should be before insert.
Right. So for now, I'm focusing only on the new records which are getting created on the account object. Yeah, the event is before insert. Okay, so let's go ahead and write down that particular trigger. Right. So this is our dummy trigger, which I don't want to use it. Let's go ahead and create a new trigger for our context. So how to create? File, new Apex trigger, and give the name of the trigger. So I'm giving it as validate account trigger. And the object I'm using is account only, right? So click on submit, and then the trigger gets created, the basic. Okay, so this is how our validate account trigger we can write the syntax trigger name on account and the DML event which we want to perform the operation. Okay, so the next one is how we are going to write the trigger. So we want to check whether those three field values are present while a user is creating a record on account object. Okay, right? So for that, initially I need to do some kind of validation, like we have the trigger context variables, right? So trigger dot. So I want to use some trigger context variables and understand whether it's a the before insert operation or not. So trigger dot is insert, and so what is the other one? So before insert, right? So I'm checking whether it is insert or not. What is the other one here? Just the word
After
is.
insert.
No, we are using only one DML event.
Okay.
So we have a context variable called is before.
Oh,
That means, so if both of these are true, then only I am going to perform my operations of the trigger. Okay. So both of these, if you see, these are Boolean uh, trigger context variables, and this for them, the input will be if this before insert only. So whenever we do DML operation of insert and before insert, then this block of statements gets executed. Okay, so both are actually true because they are getting the DML event before insert only. So both are actually true. So we are checking whether before is insert and is before correct or not. So next is for, so we will be writing our code. So for all the account records in place, right? So I'm writing a for loop of um, account ACC. You can give any name. And yeah, so what is the trigger context variable which is having the current set of triggers? It's trigger.new. Okay, so here in our case, the record which we are going to insert, those record values will be available in our trigger.new variable. So that's where your trigger context variables comes into picture. So here trigger provides us with predefined values or predefined variables, the context variables, which can help us in holding the values. Usually in bulkification, what we were doing, if we want to do bulkification, probably we will be making use of our collections type and then store all the values in a collection type for a temporary, right? But here in our triggers, we have this uh, temporary variables or trigger context variables, which are available within trigger only and can be accessible within trigger, not outside, right? So this trigger.new is going to hold the current records which we are going to work on. That's the use of this trigger.new context variable. Okay, so for every record account record, I wanted to test if. So what is that I wanted to test is three different fields, right? So one is um, rating, industry, and phone, right? So I want to test first whether the rating is given or not. So if it is, how to check my whether rating is present or not, account dot rating equals to null. So I'm checking whether if null value is provided for this, or if it is empty. So it can be null or empty. So I'm checking whether that is given, right? Account dot rating equals null, or account dot rating is empty. So in that case, I wanted to, so if it is null or if it is empty, then I want to show a message to the user who is inserting the record uh, by throwing some error. Okay. So in our configuration, we have this toast messages, right? As part of configuration, but here, how do we show an error message to the user? Is we have a class called, we have a method called add error. So that's where that method is again specific to our trigger context. Okay, so how do I add the error message? Our acc dot add error. So what is the message I want to give? Please enter a value for rating, right? So this is the message I wanted to give to the user. So this dot add error method is available only within the trigger context. It's not available in classes. So this is for triggers, okay? And this is the condition which I want to test, right? So this is one thing. So if it is given, then what should I do? The next statement I wanted to execute, that is else if I'm going to write. So similarly, I want to test another fields, right? So another field is rating is done. Now industry and then phone, right? So for industry, I wanted to write the same type of code I will be writing for industry also. So account dot, let's write about phone first. Please enter a value for phone. Okay. Else if industry not equal to null and industry not equal to empty, please enter a value for industry. If account rating, else if account dot phone, else if account dot industry, right? So yeah, then our for loop is closed. So these are the three fields which we want to check. And then right, so this is how we can write our trigger. So here actually, if you see, we are giving the error messages to user one by one. Okay, so the ideal way is we should not be, so the ideal way is we should not be giving all the error messages at a time. Okay, so that's how it is. So if you have known right. So why we are giving testing one by one message? Any idea? Why is it we can give all the conditions in one place, right? Yeah. So the reason is we should not, you know, scare the person who is entering the data, right? So if we give all the error messages at a time, he is going to get afraid. Oh, so many errors on the page, and he will be panicked, right? So that's where we show a single error at a time, and once he fixes that particular error message, then we are going to show the next error. So this is how. So this is how we can give error messages. That's why we have written under if condition, we have written else if blocks for each of the statement, right? So that's where uh, we will have to be very careful in giving the error messages also. If you give all the error messages at a time, the user is going to get panic and understand like this particular application is not correct, something like that. Okay. Okay. So account that add error method, this will display the toast message at that particular place. Let's, so now the errors are all gone. So trigger, so here, if you understand, we are writing trigger. And first we are checking whether we are performing the insert, working on whether the before insert it is working or not. So our DML event is before insert. So we are checking is insert and is before are true or not. When if they are true, then only we are processing. So for account record trigger.new, so this trigger.new is going to hold the current account records information. Okay. So for that record only we are traversing, passing through all this condition. So if it is null or empty, we are showing a message. So that means when he is adding a new account record, so if rating value is not supplied, then it will show a message like this. Okay. So if it is not having phone, then it will show a message. If it is not having industry value, then it will show a message. So let's go ahead and save this particular trigger. So it's not saved. So save and right. So now tell me how we are going to execute this particular trigger. How can we execute this particular trigger? Any wild guesses? Anyone?
I think it's already active, so we don't need to.
Yeah. Question is how we are going to make sure whether it's working or not.
We can only know by testing it on and creating a
Yeah,
code
that is what. How do you test?
by creating a record.
Yes, that is what required. So we are writing this trigger on before insert operation. That means we are creating a new account record. So that's where we can test this particular trigger. Okay, so let's go ahead and see our so this is our account. Let's see how many accounts are there. All accounts, there are 37 accounts. So what I wanted to do is I want to create a new account record. Let's go ahead, click on new. So the account name is test trigger, and type some technology partner. Industry, I am not giving any value purposely. So let's take annual revenue. Some 50 lakhs. So what all things? Industry, rating, and phone. These three I purposely don't want to give those details. Okay. Some other details I'm giving. Let's save. So now our trigger should give an error message saying first condition. What did we put it? First condition is on our rating. So it will say, can you please enter the rating, right? Please enter a value for rating. So let's click on save. Right. Please enter a value for rating. This is the message which I have given, right? Okay. So it is showing at the record level, complete record level. So what if I wanted to show it at the field level? So in the configuration, we have that setting, right? We can show it at the record level. We can show it at the field level. Similarly, we also can show this at the field level also. So yes, I'll show you. Before that, I'm adding hot rating, let's say, and now let's save. So it will give error, please enter value for phone. So this is at the record level error message. Okay, so now let's modify our um, trigger code to show it at the field level. So how do we do that is, so account dot rating dot add error. So this will show the error message at the field level. Okay, so till now we were showing the error message at the record level. So account.phone.add error, account.industry.add error. So save it again. Yes. So now let's see. So please enter a value for phone. It is showing at record level. So now the error message will appear here when you click on save. Save. See, please enter a value. So we are displaying the message at the field level, right? So we can do the same in the configuration also, if you remember. So we can do both record level error message and each field level error message also. We can select the criteria while we are creating the rules, right? Validation rules. Okay, so I entered the phone number. Now the error message should appear where it will be appearing here. Okay, let's click on save, right? So at the field level, select the banking. Yeah, save, and now it should be saved because we supplied all the mandatory fields required for our account record to be created. Okay, save. Yes, this is one other mandatory field from the account itself. So, right. Right. So this is what we have given the details, the phone number, the industry, and the annual revenue we have given, rating we have given, and this is the record which we have got created. So there were like 37 or something, 38 it should be, yeah. So this is how we have the trigger got created. So if you want to see how it is, so go to our setup, quick find box, Apex triggers, go there. Right? So validate account trigger, right? So it's active. And if you click on this, so if you see, we created it and last modified. So we have executed, right? So uh, right. So we can see the trigger details out here, and we can also activate or deactivate. We can deactivate or activate the triggers here in our standard navigation. Okay. So this is how our trigger works. So a simple example of our trigger code. So let's go to our nodes, paste this code here. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Configure a trigger on lead object to make sure lead phone, fax, email, and annual revenue fields will be required upon insert and update operations. Okay, so tell me on which object we are performing. It's lead object, and then which operations? So insert and update will be required. Yes, insert and update, is it before or after? To make sure lead, phone, fax, email fields will be required. So is it before or is it after?
Before.
Yes, before insert and before update. Okay. So this is the events. So let's go ahead and write that particular piece of code. So yes, file, new Apex trigger. So what is the name I wanted to give? Lead trigger, or yeah, you can give any name, probably lead trigger. Okay, and I'm working on the lead object here. Okay, lead trigger, lead object, save, and yeah, if you see by default, it is giving the before insert event, but whatever the event which you want, you can specify there. So in our case, it's before insert and before update also. So these events will be separated by comma before update. So the two events I want to look into in this particular trigger, right? So what is the condition I need to write now? Can anyone think of? It's trigger dot is insert and trigger dot is before, right? So this is the one condition for before insert operation, right? Is insert and is before, right? So this is one condition which I wanted to test. And so what do I need to do now? So I want to check whether my right. So I want to check, make sure lead, phone, and fax, email, annual revenue fields will be required. So there are 4 fields which I want to make sure these are available. Okay. So for my lead LD, let's see. And so where are we going to have our current variables? That is trigger.new. Okay. Okay. So here, what should I do is whether the field values, there are 4 fields which are given. So for each field, I need to check whether it's a empty or whether it's a null, right? If ld dot phone equals to null, or ld dot phone equals to empty, right? So this is the condition which I want to check. And what is the message I want to put it? So I'm displaying the error message at the field level, add error. So next, what I'm doing is else if. So same code I'm going to now. The field is fax, phone, fax, and email, and annual revenue. Right, enter email. Okay, so here if you see, do I have to write annual revenue uh, equals to empty? See, all the other fields which we were dealing are the string fields. So string fields can be null or empty. But what about the number fields? It can be only null. It cannot be empty, right? So that's where I am not using this particular condition, empty. So here the field name dot add error, right? Annual revenue dot add error, right? Oh, annual revenue spelling is wrong. Should it be correct now? So yes, the errors are gone now. So if you see, we did only for the insert operation. What about the update operation? So how do we do that? So we can do it by writing another block of code. So here the is update and is before, correct? So again, we are checking the same set of operations, right? Yeah. So here, so we are doing the repetition of the same code, right? That is, we are checking for one time for is insert operation and we are checking one time for update operation. Do we have any chance of optimizing this particular code? So is in trigger dot is insert and trigger dot is before, same conditions, trigger dot is update and trigger dot is before, same conditions, right? So what can we do here? Can we optimize the if condition again? So is update or is insert. So I can write it this way. Trigger dot is update. That means is update or is insert and is before. It's before is common for both of them. So first, any one of this and this one. Okay. So the operations is like if it is insert, is insert. If it is update, is update. And it should be both are before operations, right? So that's how we can eliminate this particular block of code now completely. Right? So this is for if and yeah, closure. No errors. And the error messages will be displayed at the field level itself, right? Not the record level, but the field level. Phone, fax, email, annual revenue. Yes. So let's go ahead and save this particular trigger. I hope you are following. This is very simple one. So what we are going to do to test this, we are going to create a new lead record. So lead object, let's see how many all the open leads. So there are 50 open, 50 plus. Okay, there are multiple open leads here. So let's go ahead and create a new lead. Right. So when it comes to lead record, it's last name, company, and status. These are the three fields which are mandatory. Okay. Test company, open not contacted, and what are the things which we have given? Phone, fax, email, and industry, right? So let us check. So let's see how it is checking. So I want to check this last condition. I give all other things. So annual revenue, I don't want to enter. So let's enter phone, fax, email, and annual revenue, I don't want to enter. So whether it's checking or not, I want to see that particular operation. Okay. So I'm giving industry, I'm giving phone, fax, email, I'm giving. Phone, fax, and I'm giving email also. Annual revenue alone, I'm not giving. Let's see. Testtrigger@gmail.com. So annual revenue is the one I'm not giving. So let's see. Click on save and it should show me the error at that particular field. Right? Annual revenue. And if you go up here, yes, it's showing the error at the field level. So what I'm doing is I'm entering some value, 50,000, 50 lakhs. So let's, and now I will do, what I will do is I don't want to give the phone number. So it should throw me an error at the phone number field. Yes, phone. Okay. And click save. So it's executed and the new record got created, right? So this is how we can write a validation of data before the data getting inserted to our object. Okay, so these are the test trigger code for performing the validation, but we can perform not only the validation, multiple other operations as well. Okay, so there are multiple uses of triggers, right? So let me copy this code and place it in the notes. Right. Create a trigger on account object to prevent deletion of related contact records upon removing the account. Okay. So usually it is like the account and contact are in lookup relationship. So if we remove the account, the associated contacts also gets removed from our Salesforce org. Okay. So that's how it is because they are in a lookup relationship. So what do we want to do now? We want to bypass that particular default behavior. So for that, we are writing a trigger. Okay. So yeah, here it's little complex. Tell me the object.
Philip, in the previous code, right?
Yeah.
On the lead,
Hmm.
we also mentioned trigger.isUpdate.
Yes.
So we are only
No.
inserting.
No, we can test it. We can test it. Update also. Do you want me to test?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. So let's go ahead and test some other already available lead object account. Okay. 45 sample test lead 45. Okay. And I wanted to edit this particular record, and there is fax, phone, oh cool. Email is present, and also annual revenue. Industry is also present, right? So let's take example of which one? Tell me which one you want to remove. We have our 4 fields, right? So
Anything
annual
is
revenue,
fine.
huh?
Anything is fine.
Annual revenue, email, fax, and phone. So let's go with email. So I'm removing the email here and clicking on save. It should give me the error at that particular field, right?
Yeah.
Now I want to remove fax. Let's test for fax also. Save. Yes. Let's test for, let's give the industry as none. Okay, it's picking up none. So none is also allowed, but blank value is not allowed. So we are testing the condition only for blanks, right? So none is also allowed if you see here. So that's how our trigger works. Even so, in this case, what do we need to do now? Create a trigger on account object to prevent deletion of related contact object. Okay. So the object on which we want to create a trigger, which object is that? Yes, it is account object. And what is the event which you want to do? Can you
You're
think of object to
sharing the screen.
prevent deletion of related contact records? So which is the event?
Philip, you're
Yes,
not
you were
sharing the
saying,
screen.
huh?
You're not sharing the screen.
Okay, create a trigger on account object to prevent the deletion of related contact records upon removing the account. So object name is the object which we want to write trigger is the account because we are deleting the account records. And the event, what is the event? Yes, any wild guess is fine, no problem. What event we are dealing with in this particular scenario?
Is delete.
isDelete is our trigger context variable. I am asking DML event
Okay, DML.
name for our trigger. Yeah. So how many events are there?
One is before, the other one is after, right? Is after.
You are getting confused now. So the DML events, we have that 7 events. Okay. Before,
Yeah, yeah.
after, before is before insert, before update, before delete. After is after insert, after update, after delete. And there is one other thing after undelete. So
Delete.
7 events. So those 7, in the 7, which one we are going to use here? So if you think trigger an
Undelete.
account to prevent. The undelete. Why undelete? It's not undelete, it's delete actually. Before delete.
Yeah, preventing.
Right? So before delete, that means we are going to delete an account record. So before doing that, we have to perform some operation because in the configuration we have seen, right? When we try to delete an account record, if it has a related contact record, it will throw an error sometimes, right? So that is not uh, in case of account on contact, but it is in case of the objects which are related in master detail relationship. Okay, so if you delete account, it will be the related contacts will get deleted because they are lookup. But if they are in, if some other objects are in master detail relationship, if we want to delete the master record, the parent record, then it will throw an error. Could you please first delete the child records, right? So that's the scenario here. So usually if we delete account record, the related contact records gets deleted. That's the default behavior because account and contact are in lookup relationship. So what in my trigger, what I want to do is I want to bypass that behavior. So if I am deleting my account record, I don't want my contacts record to be deleted. Okay, I don't want that to happen. So that's the thing which we are going to do in our trigger. Okay, so right. Yeah, we will continue the session after an hour. Okay, and tomorrow we will be having a little bit on the Lightning Web Components LWC, and I will also try if something I can get on the integration part also, because Lightning Web Components, it's a separate uh, you know set of classes, maybe 20 to 30 classes, and integration also you may need 10 to 15 classes usually, but I will try to give as much basic part of those LWC and integration if possible in the tomorrow's class. Okay, so let's continue another class after an hour. Thank you.